Live from downtown Vancouver at the Vancouver Film School campus, it's time for EP Live. Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. That's the very fun job that we have here at EP. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching the stream or if you are in the house right now. Thank you, folks, for coming here. It's fantastic. We are at 390 West Hastings Street in Vancouver. It's at the VFS Cafe. We are partnered with the Vancouver Film School because they rock. And we actually have a very cool scholarship award program running right now. They've asked me to be the point person on deciding on who is going to win some scholarships. And if you want to learn more about that, go to vfs.edu/EPN. There's scholarships to get into the game design program and the game programming program. There's a lot of programs, but very good opportunity for any aspiring game makers out there. So please do fill out the forms and get on that, would you? All right, you guys, we've got a great show today. Ian Boothby and Pia Guerra are here to join us and talk about all of the incredible work that they do. But first, we have a rundown to get through, and this one is going out to Hunter Tinsley, who said, "I love the anti-clickbait title, straight to the point." That was me going yesterday about the new look of Sonic the Hedgehog. People seem to enjoy that quite a bit. All right, let's get started with your rundown. Looks like Nintendo doesn't want to be a greedy Tom Nook when it comes to their mobile games. Nintendo has reportedly been adjusting their mobile games in order to make players spend less money, not more. That's according to a story in the Wall Street Journal, which, citing unnamed sources, claims that on several occasions Nintendo has changed the odds of their randomized reward systems to make it easier for players to win high-level characters and loot. This means players spend less money on microtransactions, to the point that Nintendo's mobile partners DNA and CyberAgent have even tried to convince them to change their mind. According to the Journal, Nintendo isn't interested in exploiting players and making huge revenue on mobile, and instead sees mobile titles as a way to get people interested in their bigger games on the Switch and 3DS. Despite this approach, they're still raking in the dough. Their latest mobile game, Dragalia Lost, earned $75 million in its first 4 months. Let's round of applause for Nintendo on this policy, man. I think this is fantastic. I think that's exactly the right approach and the right attitude. You know, give your customers more than they expect and they anticipate, not less. You know, don't nickel and dime them. They're going to be there forever. And that seems to be the way that Nintendo operates in general. I think that they tend to over-deliver with a lot of the software that they make. I think this is awesome. It's great publicity for them. I mean, if they were a ruthless, conniving company and tried to manufacture this story, it couldn't be a better one for them, because this is going to get more people checking out their mobile titles and their console titles. But I think that's fantastic. I think that there's a lot of resentment towards game publishers and developers out there right now that are doing everything they can to kind of squeeze money out of our pockets. And sometimes they're not too subtle about that. So this is good. This is a really cool bit of news from Nintendo. And it's nice to see a scoop from the Wall Street Journal that isn't about Donald Trump right now, which is great. Okay, Microsoft might be about to eject the disk drive from the Xbox. The rumored diskless version of the Xbox One might be hitting stores as early as this spring. Windows Central claims that Microsoft is planning to release the new system in May, with pre-orders beginning next month. And the site also claims that the system will be called the Xbox One S All Digital Edition. Rumors about the diskless Xbox One first surfaced last year, and if the reports are true, it will be a less expensive alternative that lets players buy and download digital games and do everything else that they can on the existing Xbox Ones, save for playing physical media. Keep in mind that no official announcements have been made, but we'll let you know if that changes. I think that this is actually a very smart move on the part of Microsoft, mostly just to test the waters. This is a working cafe, by the way, so if you hear an espresso machine going off, it's not a prop. It actually works here, which is awesome. But no, I think that this is a cool move on Microsoft's part to just see if people are into this idea. And, you know, in this post-Marie Kondo kind of world that we're in, maybe not buying a whole bunch of physical media and sticking it all over your shelves might be very attractive for a lot of people out there. So we'll see. I think they've got nothing left to lose. They might as well try a bunch of different things. And honestly, what they're doing is testing the market for future revisions of Xbox as a hardware platform in general. But I don't know, are you guys interested? Would you, if you don't have an Xbox One right now, would you be interested in a diskless Xbox One S? I think a lot of Xbox Game Pass users would probably jump all over that. Very curious to hear and read and see what you guys think about that bit of news. But we should have an announcement about that very soon. Okay, we are on to Hollywood doesn't have the best track record when it comes to adapting popular Japanese franchises, but here's a big one. A live-action Hollywood movie based on the iconic Mobile Suit Gundam franchise is being assembled. Deadline reports that Y: The Last Man writer Brian K. Vaughan has been hired to write the screenplay for the film adaptation, with the story being primarily based on the original 1979 Gundam anime series that spawned the entire franchise. Along with writing countless comics, some of which we'll talk about today, Vaughan has also worked on multiple TV shows and movies, and the Gundam movie is being produced by Legendary Pictures, which is behind another giant robot franchise, Pacific Rim. No word yet on when the new Gundam might smash into theaters. You know what? We had Gundam in Ready Player One. They popped up in there for a little bit. It's such a cool franchise. It's so iconic. There's a global kind of awareness and acceptance of it. It's, you know, every time I've traveled to Japan, I've really recognized just the obsession for Gundam as a fictional series out there. I think they've got a lot of international pre-sales already locked up with going forward with a movie like this. I think it could honestly be much bigger than Pacific Rim in a lot of ways. And it makes things very interesting because Legendary, I think, is also working with Godzilla and King Kong, and if they've got Pacific Rim, and then if they throw in Gundam and they do like a Super Smash Brothers movie of giant creatures, that could be pretty damn rad. But that excites me. Brian K. Vaughan is a genius, and he writes very cool things. So I want to see what he does with Gundam. I'm all in for this. I will line up. You say the words giant robots, I am there. All right, and a less kid-friendly Japanese adventure is finally heading west. Sega has announced that the new Yakuza spin-off Judgment, released last year with the title Judge Eyes in Japan, will make its Western debut on June 25th. It takes place in the same universe as the Yakuza games, but focuses on a new character, a private detective who investigates a murder mystery. The gameplay is described as a mix between the familiar Yakuza combat and open-world exploration with the courtroom drama and crime scene investigation of the Phoenix Wright games. This is the only new Yakuza-related title that has yet to be released in the West, so fans should be pretty happy about that. Looking ahead, Sega has confirmed that an all-new entry in the main Yakuza series is in the works, but that's all that we know for now. And what a series, man. This Yakuza game series has gone on for so long, and the remasters that Sega has put out there have been phenomenal. Every time I jump into this game franchise, I am entertained like crazy. The cleverness and the sort of loopy approach that Sega's developers take to kind of crafting something that's pretty hard-boiled and filled with lots of heinous stuff, but then it's also filled with lots of great stuff. I still remember in Yakuza 6, I had to kind of make a baby not get too upset, and I had to shake the baby and coddle the baby and make sure that she was okay, and it was just awesome. Love that kind of idea. You know, they always approach it from a completely different angle, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Judgment is all about. That is our rundown for today. It's time for us to move on to This Day Did Everything Cool.
Welcome to This Day and Everything Cool for March 6th. On this day in 1998, The Dude was in.
Far out.
The Coen brothers comedy The Big Lebowski was released in theaters, introducing audiences to memorable characters like The Dude, played by Jeff Bridges.
I'm the dude, so that's what you call me.
John Goodman's angry Jewish convert, Walter.
Shabbos!
Steve Buscemi as the consistently confused Donnie.
Donnie, please.
John Turturro as Jesus.
Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
And Julianne Moore as Maude.
Vagina.
When it was first released, the film only received a lukewarm reception from critics and audiences, but slowly amassed a large cult following on home video and cable television. Today, The Big Lebowski is widely considered to be one of the greatest comedies of all time.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Or at least the most quotable, and it stands out as one of the top films in the considerable Coen brothers catalog.
You see what happens, Larry?
The dude abides. Gamers might not abide this next entry. On March 6, 2012, BioWare released their controversial game Mass Effect 3, ending the sci-fi trilogy. Unlike the first and second games, which were universally praised, Mass Effect 3 was met with a very polarizing reception. Many gamers were downright furious about the ending, which was basically the same no matter what choices you made leading up to it, which completely negated the player-driven narrative of the series. The response was so bad that BioWare was forced to tweak the ending via post-launch DLC, raising questions about artistic integrity and whether or not game makers should change their stories if they're unpopular. The Mass Effect series has struggled ever since. The spin-off Mass Effect Andromeda received even worse reviews, and publisher EA has put the franchise on hiatus until further notice. You can't have science fiction without real science. On this day in 1869, the periodic table of elements was first unveiled by Russian chemist Dmitry Mendeleev. Up until that point, scientists didn't have a good way to classify and categorize all the new atomic elements that they were discovering, and the periodic table arranged them into a grid based on their number of electrons and chemical properties. The periodic table was so simplistic and ingenious that it actually had gaps for elements that had yet to be discovered, and its ease of use helped make chemistry much more accessible to new scientists all over the world.
That's the deal with EP. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes you get a little bit of science. Sometimes you get a little bit of Mass Effect. Right now, we're going to get a little bit of comic book action. I love comic books, and it has become a great thrill and privilege for me to get to know our next two guests. We've got Pia Guerra here, who is the co-creator of Y: The Last Man, and we have Ian Boothby, who is the co-creator of Sparks and a brand new comic series called Exorsisters. And we're going to find out. Come on up. I know there's a little bit high. That's okay. You're doing great.
We're going to free solo this thing here. Here we go.
See if you can climb all the way
Absolutely
up there.
no ropes were involved.
There. Now, Ian has actually been on the show before. You were on last year when we were kind of learning how to make EP live.
Yes.
And you were fantastic on that.
Thanks so much. No, it was a real kick. A lot of people saw it and went, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you on that?" It confuses people in my family, especially when I'm on TV.
Our show is like that, though.
Yeah.
We never know what's gonna. That's what makes it so fun to make this show. Yeah. We don't know what we're going to talk about next.
Periodic table of elements.
I know, right? We learn a little bit.
That's
Argon.
right. Which I always
Argon.
Yeah. Just scientists that didn't know how to spell. Gold is not spelled AU. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
All right. Well, Ian, let's start with you first, because we're going to dive right into Y: The Last Man, and it's going to take over the whole conversation. No, but when you were here last, Sparks was the project that you were just sort of bringing out into the world.
That's right.
What happened with Sparks?
We had a very nice reaction with it. I did it with my friend Nina Matsumoto. She's the artist on it.
Yep.
My friend David Edrick is the colorist. It's a story of two cats that want to be heroes, but no one takes cats seriously. So they dress up as a dog and they save the world from an evil alien baby. And it thanks, and it became like a hit book in Canada for quite a few months. It was on the top 10 charts, which was a real thrill for us. Now we're working on the second one and the third.
It's an awesome book, and you gave us the book. We went to your to the release party that you had at a big bookstore, which was great.
Oh,
and you signed Kids Books. What's all right? And you signed it, and you gave a copy to my daughter, and we've read that book. But the cool thing was that I started to see at my kids' elementary school that everybody was reading this, and I started to see kids walking down the street with the kind. I'm like, I know the guy that wrote that.
The weird thing for me has been I've gone to do school talks, and then afterwards the kids always say what they want to see in the next book. Yeah. And so I mentioned that there's some time travel coming up and other things like that. And then there was the last time. All these kids wanted to see Sparks fight the Illuminati.
Oh, nice.
Yes. For some reason, they just wanted to see...
Elementary school kids
wanted to see the global overlords versus this two little cats in a dog suit.
Amazing.
Yeah, kids today.
They must be picking up the news or something like that.
So,
in the house. Yeah. Lizard people and such.
But that's great to hear.
The last time that we all hung out as a trio together was to see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
So good.
And let's talk about that for a second.
What did you think it was going to be? Like when you saw the trailer for it, did you think it was going to be as good as it was?
No.
No, me either.
No. It looked a little choppy, the animation, when I saw it in the trailers, and I thought, okay, maybe they didn't finish it. I don't know. And
I thought it was going to be a romp, like a weird multi-universe romp with like cute cartoon kind of mix-ups, and it'd be okay. There'll be some fun stuff in there, but that blew my mind.
We were all crying
Yeah.
Full disclosure, we're all sitting
Yeah.
there like there was nobody. It was a critics showing, and I asked if you guys wanted to come as comic people, and you did come.
Yeah.
And we're the three comic nerds in the front, just bawling, just like, oh my God, I can't believe this movie.
But regular people felt that same way.
I
And
know.
Who would have thought that it would have, won the Oscar? I mean, it deserved it, of course. Something I like about it is, like, there's not really any swearing or anything in it, but it's one of the more mature superhero movies.
Yeah.
Like, it deals with the relationship between a kid and finding himself and his parents in just such a deep, simple way. They make it, this is the thing Marvel does to me.
Yeah.
They make what seems to be impossible look easy.
Yes.
And then afterwards, you're like, you're two Ant-Man movies deep, and you're like, how did you do that?
Yes.
That shouldn't work.
I know.
And this shouldn't work.
We're so spoiled.
Spider-Ham shouldn't work.
I know, right?
And in any way, shape, or form. Nick Cage, as a guy who lives in a film noir universe, shouldn't work and be touching.
Yeah.
But they are.
I just love the cop dad on the radio saying, so you got to say it. You got to say it.
Oh.
It's the best.
I love you, Dad.
What an amazing movie. Can we talk about what happened with you after that movie? Because there's. Can you reveal anything?
I haven't got a contract down yet.
Okay.
But I got a gig lined up for this summer, which I'm very excited about, and we'll announce it more later.
Okay, that's super cool. Well, let's talk about a gig that was quite a while ago now, but still very important in your life, and there have been some new developments. We're talking about Y: The Last Man, which is one of my favorite comic series of all time. It is absolutely spectacular. And every time I talk to people about the medium of comics and whether they might have some hesitations or they might not read them very much, I always say, have you read Y: The Last Man? Have you read this book? And now it is a TV series.
Yeah. It was in pre-development hell for about 10 years with New Line.
Yep.
And they couldn't figure out a way to turn it into a movie. They wanted just one movie, and every director team that came on was like, no, we have to make 3.
Yeah.
And the studio was like, nope. And then they'd go, and then another director would come on, and another one. And so it was like this for 10 years, and we were just like, okay, I guess it's just not going to get done. We'll see. But then the option expired, and we had a bunch of studios interested, and we kind of looked at the people who were interested and what they wanted to do with it. And FX had the best setup. And
they're a great network.
They're wonderful. I love the shows that they do, and we're really excited about their take on it. And they started filming the pilot last fall, and we just got the green light for a series, so they're going to start filming in the summer.
Yeah, that is amazing. And we happened to be in New York at the same time.
Yes.
I don't know. We
had avocado toast.
We had avocado toast. We were there for NBA 2K19.
Yeah.
They showed us the basketball game, but you were there to go and check out the set.
It was wonderful. It was so much fun. It was hot. There was this crazy heat wave that was going on.
Yes.
We were there at 10 o'clock at night. It was still like 90 degrees out.
Yep.
And this kid, Barry, I think it's Kean or Keegan. I'm not sure how he spells or pronounce his last name yet. I'm very sorry.
Is he Yorick?
He's Yorick.
Okay.
And we were led onto the set. Didn't know that there was actually shooting at that second that we were just chatting with the PA, and I look, and he just walks right on set.
Wow.
And he's in the full cape, and he's in the gas mask, and the cape is horrendously heavy. It's like really like rubbery.
Wow.
And they finish the take, and he is dying under this thing, but he's got so much energy. He's like, let's do it again, and he's so happy, and he's like, I love you. You're great.
That is
I'm
amazing.
really, really excited for this kid. He's got wonderful energy for it.
What was it like to see the character that you designed as a real
stunning.
human being?
It was the same that. It was kind of like this mirrored thing because afterwards Barry came up to us and he was like shaking my hand, and he has a wonderful Irish accent, so I probably won't shoot. But he's like, oh, it's like seeing God, and it's like, oh, thanks, it's like that same for me. This is awesome. So yeah, it was a really pleasant thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you were the artist on the book, and for people that don't know, it's 10-part or 12-part of the trades.
Depends on the type of trade. There's like a 5-book trade. There is a 10-book trade.
Well, it's
the first sets of trades were 10 books. Then there was the deluxe soft covers, which were 5 books, and then the hardcovers, same 5. And then there's the absolute editions.
Oh yes, okay. But there was always this idea that it was a finite story, and you collaborated with Brian K. Vaughan as the writer, and you knew right away that there was a beginning, middle, and end to this whole thing. So talk to me a little bit about crafting the work with Brian, and like how far in advance did you get the scripts, and was there a huge crushing deadline, or were you able to finish everything?
Yeah, well, it started in 2002, and the upper echelons of Vertigo did not believe that Brian had a 60-issue story in here.
Yep.
So they demanded that he write a Bible for the entire run.
Wow.
So I didn't read the exact Bible, but I had a rough outline of where it was going to go.
Well, this was around the time when people were, like, I can remember Kevin Smith was writing Green Arrow around that. And so, like, good writers.
There was a big, genuine fear that there were some of these things weren't going to
They couldn't finish their stuff.
Yeah, they were going to just make it a 4-issue comic.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right.
Series.
The editorial wanted it to be a 4-issue miniseries. And so they had to prove, like, no, this is a story worth telling in 60 issues.
Right.
And that was the nice thing, because Brian is like this one of the, again, you'd mentioned he's a genius. He's a genius.
Yes. Well, that's clear, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But his genius is that he listens to people.
Cool.
He doesn't have his, like, this is his vision and he must get it out there. It's like he wants to hear your input. He wants to add to it as you go along.
Awesome.
And he's always open to me, like, giving ideas. And so it really became a co-creation, and it was I've never worked on a book like that before.
That's so cool. Yeah. So did he have all of the ideas in the scripts when he gave them to you?
And things changed as it went. So what happened was how our collaboration worked was before each story arc, like 4 or 5 issues, he would give me an outline of what was going to happen, and I would read through it, and I would offer an idea. So it'd be like, well, maybe 335 should have a baton, or maybe in this one scene he should have a bag over his head, because it's a thing I read about the military. This will really work. And he's like, yeah, okay, cool. And so each set of notes he would take, and he would either incorporate some, or it's like, no, this doesn't fit. Safe Word, it was a 3-issue arc, wasn't part of the original book. It was just a dumb idea I came up with one night. And I was like, how about this? And then a few months later he came back to me and was like, okay, remember that idea you had? I turned it into 3 issues. I managed to cram it in there. And I'm like, oh my God.
That's awesome.
So it was just really great working with him for that. And I didn't know exactly how it ended, because it was kind of vague about the specifics. So when we got to the final arc, and I read what the outline was going to be, because I was fighting for 355 the whole time.
Yep.
No spoilers, sorry. And so we were trying to figure out a way to deal with her. And I had all these ideas, and I really wanted to do this. And then I saw what was happening, and like, oh, damn you. And it was beautiful. And I was like, okay, that's how it was. So every script that came in was just as exciting for me to read, too.
It's going to be amazing to watch the show come together, because it's the last man. It's the last male. So it's going to be such a female-driven show. Yeah. And I don't know if we've ever seen a show like that before.
And the producer is...
The producer, yeah, we have well, Nina Matsoukas was one of the directors. We have
Nina Jacobson.
Nina Jacobson from Color Force.
Mm-hmm.
There's another woman, Ida Kroll. She's amazing.
Cool. So female directors and producers.
And we also Michael Green, who's off of American Gods, working on the script, and I read an early draft, and it was just gorgeous.
Awesome. Are they going to deviate a lot from the comic?
Yes. Well, there's going to be changes, but there's elements that are still really, really close to it.
Yeah.
But I think the elements that are changes really work, because
so you can put a lot of dudes into this.
No, that's maybe in the pilot, but after that, no.
Okay.
But what they're doing
goes to Hollywood. We need some love stories and some dudes.
But I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Okay, good.
I think they're true to that. But what they are doing is incorporating current events, things like the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, things that are relevant to now, that you'd have to incorporate in there.
Totally.
We had some notes from the first draft saying, okay, there's not enough Trump in this. You have to, deal with this, because this is so prevalent right now.
Yes.
And I think I read that Michael Green kind of took our notes, and he's like, yeah, we have to figure this out. And he took a long, hard look at how to fix it. I don't know what the final draft looks like.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
We're all going to be surprised.
Does it come out this year, or is it?
I think it's maybe later this year. They start filming the second episode in summer, so it's probably going to be ready for either the fall or the new year.
Crazy. I seem to recall there was something in the news about maybe this was just a UK thing, but there was some fertility issue, and the sperm count was down. I don't know if you heard anything about.
I think that's been a thing that's been talked about for a long time, because they were predicting that would happen just because of pollution levels, and things were affecting things like that.
So does Brian feel like an even bigger super genius? he's predicting all this
stuff. Every time someone brought up cloning during the run, we're like, oh God, oh God.
Yeah, crazy. Oh man, I can't wait. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that, because I know this has been a long run for you.
Yes.
You know, just hoping that something like this would happen in the right way.
Yeah, I'm just really excited. I want to see what other creatives do with this and see how they treat this world and have fun with it, and I'm all for it.
Awesome. Now, Ian, you have a new comic series that has just launched, which is not a kid's book, but it is accessible. You know, when I'm reading it, you're such a funny dude. And there is definitely a great sense of humor in these two sisters that are exorcists.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Exorsisters.
Okay.
And it's you know what? I'm going to do a little bit of a spoiler here, where you think that they're sisters, but actually one of them is the other's soul, and the mom sold her soul to you know, protect herself when she was 13, and she finally got her soul back when she was 18. But they were too different at that point. So one's kind of uptight because they've never. They kind of got rid of all their emotions when their soul was taken away.
Right.
And one's kind of a rocker, and you know, all angst and passion and eating everything, and just you know, savoring life. And yeah, the two of them save the world from all sorts of demons and such.
It starts off with a groom that gets sucked into hell, and and the bride is like, "What the hell?" and asks the Exorcisters to come and save her groom.
Yeah,
right?
After one of them eats most of the food and drinks all the champagne, that's right. Then they go to hell, and we see what happens. And Giselle Legacy is just this amazing artist that I'm so lucky to work with. She did a webcomic called Menage 3.
Okay.
That's a very sexy Three's Company type comic. This is less of the sexiness.
Okay.
But there's still some sexiness in there.
How do you pitch a comic like this? I know that you guys are both veterans in the comic industry, and you've worked on lots of different things, and you know lots of people out there, but you know, it always takes convincing before people are ready to pony up money or marketing or whatever. So how do you pitch an idea like Exorsisters and get the green light?
Well, with Sparks, it was because Nina and I had worked on The Simpsons and Futurama comics for so long.
Right.
So we had that reputation. Giselle's reputation kind of preceded her, so I kind of rode those coattails.
Oh, very nice.
In that situation.
And now is Giselle based in Vancouver as well?
No, she's back eastern Canada.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is there? We just had Vancouver Fan Expo,
Yes.
and you guys had tables and you met with people, but is there a big local comic book creator scene?
Yeah.
And do you all get together?
It might be shrinking a bit because of our rents.
Yes.
I know a lot of friends who are going to like Kelowna and then now to Halifax just because to try and keep up with it. But no, there's a huge scene here. I mean,
yeah, just in our office building, it was like most of the people who worked on Bongo comics, The Simpsons and Futurama comics, and Johnny Christmas was also in our building. He was working with Margaret Atwood on a book. We have great talent here in Vancouver when it comes to comics. We're very, very lucky.
That's awesome. And are there events or workshops or things like that?
There are jam sessions sometimes that cartoonists get together, but mostly we just meet each other at conventions.
Yeah.
And mostly, to be honest, we meet each other at conventions that are outside of Vancouver.
Right.
So I'm more likely to meet, I had a friend of mine, James Lloyd, who I worked with, and I was more likely to meet him in California or Europe than I would be to meet him across the hall from where I worked.
That's hilarious.
Much more likely.
I know what that's like.
We just don't have the time.
we're all buried in our deadlines.
Yeah,
so
we make our stuff, and then it's so funny. We would travel to Comic-Con all the time for EP, and on the plane I would see all of the shows that shoot here.
I think that's where we first met, was in the line.
That's right.
Like, because our line would kind of snake past each other, and so we like just like hi, and then so they could back around like, oh, hi again.
Yes. So we have to make this a regular thing.
Yes,
okay.
please.
One of the things that's cool about these two, you might have guessed, but they know each other. There's a relationship here. These two are married. And you're a writer. Do you draw as well? Or?
Yeah, I started off doing my own autobiographical comics in the 90s. And that's how I kind of got involved with The Simpsons.
Okay.
And that's actually how I met you as well.
At a local convention.
That's right. And now we work together on Mad Magazine and do cartoons together for The New Yorker.
That's awesome. And so do you write your own stuff a little bit as well, too, right?
I do write my own stories that I'm still working on. It's going to take forever, but it'll get done. But I also do editorial cartoons. That was just venting after the election, and then it became a side career.
And it's been exploding for you. Congratulations
so
on
many of them have gone viral. And there was one that she did with Steve Bannon that made Trump very upset, to the point where all the news shows said that was the start of their breakup.
Really?
It's a guess.
She won't say it. She won't say it, but all the news shows say that.
So how do you?
She's responsible for getting him out of office.
It was just like, there was one more, like, there was Good Morning America. I just remember turning it on, and there was George Stephanopoulos laughing at the cartoon.
Wow.
And saying, "Oh, he's not going to like that."
That's amazing.
And so that felt good.
That's amazing. How is it to collaborate? I mean, you guys have. Are you cool with? You're a couple. Some couples, it's not so easy.
We don't always work together because we worked on our own separate projects for a long time. But every now and then we do something together and it'd be really fun. And it wasn't long enough that we got to each other's nerves for it, so that was good. The New Yorker stuff is really fun because he'll go off in another room, write a bunch of punchlines and send it to me on Messenger, and then I open it up and okay, that one, I'll draw that one. And then that's how we do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. One of the beautiful things about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is that it's a celebration of comics, right? In an era where comics are celebrated, but mostly just for their great ideas, and they take the ideas, thank you very much, we're going to make billions of dollars with these movies and TV shows, and they don't really ever reference the books too much. But Spider-Verse really felt like it was coming off the page.
Yeah, it was also a movie that made you want to read the comics afterwards.
Yes.
Which isn't necessarily the case.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you'll go see a Batman movie and go, I really love that. What do you got in the Batman comics? Nothing to do with that. And we're done. But there was so much to select in there, so much to choose from.
Well, and then I don't know if you guys have read the news about this recently, but there was an article on one of the comic book sites that said that Marvel might drop out of the publishing business, and that they were going to, and then
I think that was just one of those silly rumors.
they were just looking for that. Yeah.
No,
And, well, Quesada came out there and said, "No way are we ever going to stop publishing comic books," which would be. He's the head of Marvel. He's the editor-in-chief of Marvel.
That's not gonna happen.
So my question to you is, as two longtime comic creators, why are they vital as a medium of expression? Why do we need comics? Why do we need to read them and invest in them and believe in them?
Okay, well, I think with the Into the Spider-Verse, there's a person I know who's First Nations who said if she had seen that movie when she was a little girl, it would have changed her life.
Right.
Because the idea that you can wear the mask, anyone can wear the mask, anyone can fight the good fight, anyone can do their best and be their own unique version of a hero.
Right.
That's what that says. And Spider-Man, to me, when I was growing up, really did kind of set a lot of my moral compass. It was he was a guy, Superman pretended to be a nerd. Spider-Man was a nerd.
Yes.
Spider-Man did the right thing and did not get rewarded. Superman did the right thing and got a parade every time.
Right.
And everyone loved him.
Right.
And to me, what I liked about that was you still got to do the right thing, even if people aren't rewarding you for it.
Yes.
Do it for its own sake. And that had a really big impact on me.
Yeah. One of the greatest appeals of comics is that it's an adventure. It's not just a power fantasy. It's an adventure from a kid's point of view of what adulthood could be and what what it should be.
Right.
And so much. It's like whenever you see a comics about kids, it doesn't really resonate as much.
Yes.
But it's the kid who puts themselves in the place of these heroes, and they get a chance to pretend or to kind of be the adult with some agency in the world, because kids don't have that.
Yeah.
They're told when to go to bed, what to eat for dinner, and all this. They don't have a lot of power in their lives.
Yeah.
But here are these stories where they can dream about being an adult and fixing things, fixing the world, fixing the bad things that happen, because that's what kids look for. They want some sense of that things are going to get better.
Yeah, so some of that hope and that right and wrong kind of side. I learned a lot of that too.
Yeah, that's what I try to do with Sparks as well. There are very dark scenes in Sparks for for a kid's book, but I think it's important for kids to see things that are dark and go how do you deal with it when things go bad?
Yeah.
When things are sad.
Yes.
What do you do? And
There was a friend of ours. He's a writer who works in Australia, and he used to do these tours, like school tours, talking about comics. And he did one on a reservation, like an indigenous reservation deep in the desert, in Australia, in the outback, basically. And there's a school, and it's a lot of at-risk youth. And he sat down with them, and one of the wonderful things, this great story he would tell about how there was the big kid in the room. He was having a lot of troubles at home, and it was just really tough for him.
He was different.
But he was different. But he kind of impressed them, look, you're Superman. You're the one who gets to use that power of yours, that your size, your ability, and your presence to help the little guy.
Yeah.
And these kids kind of just opened up completely to this idea that they have some agency where they didn't think they had it before.
Yeah, it felt like you had a purpose.
Yeah, and comics do this for people, and so I just love these stories about talking to kids and telling finding out what it is about these characters that they can relate to, what they can learn from them, what they can bring into their lives.
That's awesome. And I guess one of the other great things about comics too is that it doesn't take $100 million to kind of manifest an interesting
that's the
idea.
Fun part. You can create incredible worlds with enormous budgets, and it's all just if you can draw it, it's there.
Yeah.
And you can do stick figures, and you can do very
and
basic
things.
things.
You can do basically too. Yeah, you don't have to be Brian Hitch.
That's great. All right, so you are comic creators and you love the medium.
Yes.
And we've talked a lot about all kinds of work that has been happening, but I'm curious about what you would recommend right now to anybody that is looking for a great comic read. Why don't we start with you, Ian?
Okay, well, if you're an adult, I'd say Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples' comic Saga.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic one. I think if you're a younger, I'm not spilling the beans to be saying read Smile. Clearly, if you're a kid, everyone's reading that. It's fantastic. So,
Yep. I always like it's not running anymore, but you can find the books as Fraction and Naja's Hawkeye.
Okay.
It's my favorite
I love
series.
that was so good. Yes.
Yeah, it's beautifully done, and it's just a quirky story. I love it.
Matt Fraction rules. He's so good. I know.
Yeah.
And that works for kids or adults.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah, and that's
got a pizza dog.
Yeah, that's the thing that pissed me off about Bill Maher too. F that guy, about him talking about people crying about Stan Lee and how comic book heroes are. Anyways, I'm not drudging that back up again.
Fair enough.
Yes.
I will.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Nothing makes a person more upset than not being relevant anymore.
Yes. Very nice.
To me, it's always this. This is the thing I hear all the time, which is like, I haven't changed. Everyone else has.
Yeah.
Like, no, you got it right.
Yeah.
You're right. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You're thinking like, oh no, you're thinking like, no, you should still be able to do the same thing forever. That's not how art works.
No.
That's not how anything works.
That's
you gotta
right.
keep evolving and adjust to the world around you. And unfortunately, I don't think he has.
And clearly, people like comics and superheroes and escapism, and we are living in an incredible age right now.
Great fight to pick.
Yes. All right, you two. Thank you so much for being
Anytime.
with us. This is Pia Guerra and Ian Boothby. Thank you so much for being on EP Live. Right now, we are going to throw it to a buried treasure.
Today's buried treasure suggestion comes from Winter DP75 on Twitter, suggesting Daxter. This was the Ready at Dawn developed PlayStation portable game that takes place in the Jak and Daxter franchise, but you're not controlling Jak, you're controlling Daxter. It was overseen by Naughty Dog, and it takes place between Jak 1 and Jak 2. It's all about Daxter being hired as an exterminator and running around taking care of all kinds of bugs, and then he gets embroiled in this bigger conspiracy with a big bad evildoer bug that you got to take out, and you're trying to rescue Jak, who is in prison, and it leads right up into the events of Jak 2, which I freaking adored on the PlayStation 2. And the reason why this is a buried treasure, it actually was a big selling PSP game, as it justly deserved. It was excellent. But the PSP is kind of, it's really dead and gone, and it's kind of heartbreaking. It's hard to find these classic PSP games that came out on UMD. I know some of them were put on as digital files and you could download them to the Vita. Sometimes some of them you could play on the PlayStation 3, I think. It all got super confusing, and I really hope that Sony does something with all of these terrific games that got put out on the PSP and the Vita and makes them accessible as we move forward into future generations of PlayStation machines. It would be amazing to be able to access these great Vita games and these great PSP games in some other format. Maybe they need to be up-resed or whatever, but there's some excellent titles in there, and Daxter definitely is one. Absolutely a buried treasure. You just got to go and find your PSP, have a working battery, find the UMD, and make it all work again.
We had a great buried treasure there with Daxter. Isn't the PSP library something that we'd all like to be able to go back to? Come on, Sony, figure out a way to give us the PSP and the Vita games again somehow. All right, same with you, Nintendo, with your DS and 3DS stuff. Okay, we are going to move on. I want to put Anthem to bed. I have been playing it. The credits rolled today. I got past the campaign. got into the end game, and I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on this game that I've been playing now for quite a while. I don't know the hour count. I just know that I feel like I've been in Groundhog Day playing this game. It is a lot of the same thing. The curse of Anthem is the repetition of it. It is a game that has an incredible first impression. It's a game where you load it up and you fly into the world of Bastion, and you cannot believe the beauty of this environment that BioWare built for us. It's gorgeous. You'll see birds flocking together and flying across the screen, and a rainbow and sun flares, and you'll fly through a waterfall, you'll hear your engines roar, and it's just stunning when you first jump into it, and the combat feels pretty damn solid. And it remains solid all the way through. It is fun as you play all the way through the campaign, but you do so much of the same type of scenario. And I think one of the issues with Anthem is that you fly over big chunks of the environment as opposed to really explore it. You fly through the caverns and you fly over a lot of landmass, and you can fly into the water, which is absolutely a stunning effect. But you scale through this world so quickly that you don't really have a lot of time to sit down and appreciate it and enjoy its intricacies. You see it from a bird's eye for the most part, until your engine overheats and then you land, and then you're like, why can't I keep flying? And then you get it cools down, you jump back up into the air again. And I think because you're basically swallowing big chunks of the world so quickly, and you're encountering the enemy types over and over again. You've got these outlaws, you've got these bug-like creatures, you've got these giant spiders, and then you've got sort of mutated, twisted versions of these kinds of characters. But you don't really see tons and tons of types. You see the same kinds of bad guys over and over again, and every once in a while you'll fight a giant bad guy and you'll beat that, and then you'll take a stronghold, and then you could do that same stronghold over and over again, and when you get into endgame you can get a couple more strongholds. But it's really about serving up that same core experience over and over again. And then you go back to Fort Tarsis, which is really elegantly modeled and rendered, and there's some great discussion that you have with the characters that you meet in there, but you're kind of all alone in this world, and every time that you walk into the world, everybody's just standing around waiting for you to walk up to them and look them directly in the eye and chat with them, and then they say things that go in one ear out the other, and it's just not pulling you in like a lot of the lore that we expect from BioWare. I think it's in there. I think it's buried in the nooks and crannies and in some of the codex stuff that you find, but it doesn't deliver that same, take you and transport you away kind of vibe that you get out of Dragon Age or the best of Mass Effect. And it's so heartbreaking that it doesn't, because I feel like the effort was made to try to build to that, but it doesn't really get to that. And so you spend your time at Fort Tarsis basically pressing the button to get through these conversations as quickly as you possibly can. You're going back and forth. I got stuck on a mission sort of midpoint, halfway through the game, where I had to repair 3 javelins in order to open this door so that I could get to this tomb and then keep going into the game. And so I would fly with other people, and I did a lot of random multiplayer co-op matches. You could only play 4 people at a time. And everybody that I was fighting with and flying with was so good at the game, nobody ever died. And I was like begging them over the voice, would somebody let me heal them? Would you die, please? I just want to heal you. I want to get past this stupid mission. But there was nothing else I could do except do this thing. It was in free play, and I had to find 2 other characters to heal before I could progress anywhere. There was no other opportunity for me to kind of advance in the story until I did this. And it took a long time. It took seriously like 3 or 4 hours for me to get to the point where I could pass that, and then I could continue on with the story. And then it became a question of just hunting on the cursors and finding the right people to talk to keep going forward. And I was just kind of blasting through it. And to be honest, I was, there was so much loading time in the game and so many boring conversations that I was checking out. It was just not pulling me in. And then I'd get into the combat and I just felt numb. It felt like, oh my God, I've fought this thing 55,000 times already. And it's also missing that cooperative kind of engagement that Destiny provides. When I play in Destiny 1 or 2, even though I'm not hardcore and I don't play the end game and I'm not a 1,000-hour guy, when I jump in, I still engage with the other people that are playing, and we have a conversation, and we kind of enjoy the fight together. Anthem has not provided that at all. If anything, nobody says a damn thing. I had my voice chat on for a while, and I had a YouTube video rolling as I was playing the game, and the only chat that I heard from the people I was playing with was like, hey, yo, dude, could you turn your voice chat off? That video is annoying. And so I had to turn the voice chat off, and I fought kind of silently alongside strangers all the way through the game. And so I beat the campaign, and after you get back to Fort Tarsis for the millionth time, and everybody's in the same place, maybe the sun's in a different place and the lighting's a little bit different. It's so weird that there's no cooperative, multiplayer hangout in Anthem either, because that's the one cool thing about the areas that you go back to in Destiny is that there's a lot of people there and they're all milling about and you can kind of dance with them and share some experience. You don't really do that when you're in Fort Tarsis. You're alone with a bunch of NPCs and everybody's just doing the same routines back and forth. But then all kinds of new stuff unlocks that is supposed to engage you for the end game. And I'll tell you what, I am not interested in this end game. I am not interested in playing a second more of Anthem. And it pains me to say that because I was excited about this game. I love BioWare. I don't think this is the, the worst experience. Yeah, it's their worst game. Yeah. Now, I was thinking that Mass Effect Andromeda was maybe more disappointing, but no, I think this is more disappointing. Mostly because they had the benefit of learning from Mass Effect Andromeda to turn this around. And I think the right move would have been to delay this game. Even though it's been in development forever, the right move would have been, okay, we got it working. This, the engines are operational, everything is happening. Let's just tune it, Let's spend some Nintendo time now and just make it freaking awesome. That's what they should have done. They didn't. They released it. It's been buggy. It's been crashing systems. The load times have been brutal. It's not pulling you back in to play more. I've been reading a lot of these reviews and review scores and seeing a lot of fellow critics and journalists out there that have just been heartbroken to say that this game is a 6 out of 10, but you know what? It's a 6 out of 10. Damn. Okay, let's move on. Anthem goes to bed. I'd love to hear what you guys think. In the comments, when you see the archive of this, or in the conversation that we're having right now. We are moving on. We did a live review. Normally we have an edited review, and then that's the time that it takes for me to bring somebody up on stage, and we get into our next segment, which is Let's Play and Chat. But we went from that segment live. We're going into the next segment. And let's invite Robert up to play a little ToeJam and Earl with us right now. I'm going to put this stuff away right there. Come on up, my friend. Grab a seat right there.
Hey,
Robert,
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. You're going to do the playing, and I'm going to do the chatting. Does that sound okay? Okay, hold on one sec. Let me get you back into Funkatron. So why don't you start a new game? So you're kind of looking over here because the TVs are behind you there. Is that okay? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. There you go. Groovy. And so, yeah, Adrian Leon, I knew it. You could call it on the Anthem. I played so much of it, I can't believe. I mean, the one good thing you could say about Anthem is I kept playing it, but I didn't like my life. It was starting to feel like Stockholm Syndrome a little bit. It's like, oh my God. So anyways, I'm glad to be moving on. But if you guys have any comments or questions for Robert, go ahead and ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, one quick thing about Anthem. When it comes to BioWare titles,
yes.
I think Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood is better than Anthem.
Yeah, that is like what their first. What game was that?
I think that was like their first Nintendo DS title. And
Oh my God.
The last game before EA bought them.
Right. Yeah, they used to make all kinds of games. It wasn't just Mass Effect. It wasn't just Dragon Age.
I remember being a little disappointed by Sonic Chronicles, but like the load times are not long in there. It's not buggy. It's not glitchy like Anthem.
Nice.
But enough about.
You've stuck with BioWare for a long time, and so you've been playing Anthem, and it's been bugging you too. Yeah. I hate that it has. I hate that it's disappointed everybody. Okay, we got a comment from Gamer Freak 84. Vic, at least your Spider-Man PS4 Pro wasn't bricked. Yes, I was so nervous about that. Yes, because it was bricking. It's been bricking PlayStation 4s, and I was just like, if this thing breaks my PS4 Pro, I was just gonna freak, but it didn't. I have to delete the game though until they update everything. Question from Blade Blur. Robert, how are you?
No, I'm doing fine, but I think there's something wrong with the controller.
Oh, is it?
Keep moving up.
And it's not working? Let's see. It's been sitting on idle for a little bit here. Let me see if I can get this going for you here. There it is.
Ah, there we go.
So local. Let's go new game, tutorial world. There you go. So nobody can jump in and join you. But this is ToeJam and Earl. This was the Kickstarted game that I forget what the subtitle is. I missed that.
Back in the Groove.
Back in the Groove. Thank you, sir. And so you get to jump in and play new versions of ToeJam and Earl. This was a Sega Genesis game that Sega published, and somehow these indie developers got their hands on the IP, and they're making a Funkatron game here. This is all like they're hip-hop aliens, and they've got a bunch of different objectives that they have to do. Did you ever play the original?
Oh yeah, I played all 3 of them, including the tomato throwing minigame in the Sega Minister.
Awesome, man. I got the right person up here to play this. That's great. Okay, so that's fine. Press A, and then away you go. Question from Gamer Freak 84. Hey Vic, you were going to play and review Ape Out. I bought it on Switch and love it. See, that's what kind of pissed me off about having to play Anthem, is I put away these other awesome games that I could get to and want to review, but I was playing Anthem and hours and hours and hours of the same thing. Okay, so Ape Out is in the queue, and I'll be playing that soon.
Press the present menu button.
Did I get my factions leveled up in Anthem?
Don't forget to use these.
I don't know. I don't know. I leveled up lots of stuff. I've heard of this game, Wesley West. Yes, this is a crazy game. You're dancing. I see it. I can feel it. You're doing.
The music's that good.
You're shaking right beside me. That's awesome, man. All right. Comment from Taz. Sounds like you needed to use the Discord server to get people together to play.
There are 10 pieces to your
yeah,
broken
the problem
Master
is that I was
ship.
playing at all
It's your
kinds
job
of
to
weird
find them
hours.
all.
You know,
There's
I'd
one
play
somewhere
before
on
we were
this level.
shooting EP Live. I'd play like at midnight. So it was, you know, I'd see some people online that were playing, but I think a lot of people have been avoiding Anthem, to be honest. Let's see, we got Hip Hop Aliens Are My Kind of Aliens from Jamie Andrews. Sidesuck says, question, Vic, how do you feel about Division 2? Do you feel it might suffer from the same fate of Anthem with no content at launch and become a bore fest after the main story for months? I think from what I've played of the Division 2 and from the conversations we had with the developers, because we've gone to a couple of events with them, they really learned a lot of lessons, hard lessons on the Division 1, and they understood how quickly the player base was just diving into the content and beating these games or beating the game and trying to get to the end game stuff as quickly as possible. So they have really accommodated for that. I can't speak to that without having played the game all the way through, but the one thing that I don't think anybody can fault the first Division for was a lack of detail and lots of really cool things to explore, and you were on foot. You weren't flying around like an Anthem where you were just zipping past everything. And that was my favorite thing about the first Division, is that everything just felt so grounded and rooted and believable. And what I've played of the Division 2, it's even more so because they've rendered Washington, D.C. as a one-to-one experience. So super excited about the Division 2. Even though it's another looter shooter, I don't think it's going to suffer the same fate as Anthem. I don't think so. Okay, comment, Vic. If you play in weird hours, I'd be nocturnal for you. That's very nice, Blade Blur. You're very sweet, dude. Comment, Jordan Cunningham. Here's the one thing about reviewing a game, though, and playing a game and chilling with friends, is that I feel bad if I can't just shoot the shit when I'm playing the games. I gotta keep, I gotta get the stuff into my head so that I can talk about it. And sometimes I'm just blasting through, and I just gotta get this mission and see this cutscene and go forward and try to get to as deep as I can into the experience. And I really gave Anthem, like I felt the same about Anthem 15 hours earlier than the extra 15 hours that I gave it, but I gave it the benefit of the doubt. I really wanted BioWare to drop something that surprised me, and they really didn't. So But when I'm reviewing, I don't always have the social skills, really, to kind of just hang and kibitz, you know? I'm trying to get that material into my brain so I can talk about it. But understood, Blade Blur. We'll do some nocturnal gaming soon. Farimer, comment, oh man, getting those factions leveled up changes so much in Fort Tarsis, and things change and look more full and alive. Okay, all right, good point, Farimer. I know that there's lots of people that are having a good time with Anthem, and I'm very glad that you are. Dennis Ryan, comment, so happy you enjoyed Umbrella Academy. I binge watched the whole thing, love it so much. The musical numbers were so much fun. Yeah, they had fantastic music in there, lots of crazy, risky choices, and it was just cool. Very, very hip show. Looking forward to more of that. Big success too, which is fantastic. Good for Netflix. Let's see, we got a question from Gray and Coombe. Vic, is there anything you specifically want to see in the new Dragon Age title? I loved Inquisition. I thought it was fantastic. You know, clearly we want to see more refinement with the technology. Maybe an open world Skyrim type of, you know, I think Inquisition gave us lots of great open world spaces, but there was also a lot of connected, you know, load into the next area kind of thing. I don't know. I think I think BioWare's in kind of safer territory there. Plus, I think they're going to probably stick with Frostbite again. This will be their third kick at the can with the Frostbite engine. And honestly, I had to, when I was reviewing Anthem and thinking about Frostbite, I had to think that maybe that engine wasn't the ideal for that developer. It certainly wasn't the case with Mass Effect, and maybe they were still suffering with some of that stuff with Anthem, which may have been the reason why it took so long, and maybe because they were still trying to understand its intricacies. You know, they didn't really get to a play test time, which is, you really want a good solid year to kind of just be able to play through the game and make it really, really fun on all levels. And it felt like Anthem didn't really get that time. It came in screaming hot, you know? Comment from Jordan Cunningham. Hey Vic, I just got the Nier Automata Game of the Year edition. That's an amazing game. Did you play Nier Automata?
I've been meaning to try that out.
So good, so good. Matthew Nugent Marcoux says, also wanted Anthem to succeed and will eventually get it, but not until the PlayStation 4 shutdown bug is fixed. Yeah, that's probably a great piece of wisdom right there. Wesley West says he remembers playing the original game, the original ToeJam Earl, on the Sega channel on the Genesis back in the day. I never had the Sega channel. I've heard from people that had it though, and it seems so cool. Do you ever have it?
I actually have a Sega channel cartridge at my home right now.
Do you? That's awesome. Have you tried it again? It doesn't work anymore, right?
No, it doesn't.
No. You get the modem sound. My biggest wish for Division 2 from MyJoey94 is that they're going to have a version of the survival mode that they had as DLC for the first game. They are really, really, they're in a good place with the Division 2. I mean, they didn't have to build everything from scratch. They had a lot of the core technology sort of in place, and they really knew what they were doing, and they had all of that feedback, some of it venomous feedback from the first game to kind of draw from. So I think that not only is it going to launch well, fingers crossed, but they're going to have a lot of long-term ideas and plans and surprises for us. So hopefully it's great. Let's see what we got here. Got a question. A question from Blade Blur. Question besides Ape Out, what else is in my review backlog? I still want to get to Jump Force. I know that that's in there. I've been playing a game that Rutger Hauer stars in on my Switch called Observer, and it's a cyberpunk game. Small, it's indie, but it's kind of cool, and it runs all right on the Switch, but I want to get a little bit further into it before I tell you guys about it, but that's in there. There are a few other Switch titles that, there's a game called Remy Lore, which Nicholas has published, and it's out on the PS4 and the Switch, and that looks like a lot of fun too, and I'll get to that. So yeah, stand by, more reviews are coming for sure. Let's see what we got here. Okay, Matthew Nugent, Marco, why Frostbite is the wrong choice for BioWare. Bellulor Gaming's has a video up there which outlines what I've tried to explain to for many years regarding the state of Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a developer, so I don't know all of the details on the mechanics of using Frostbite. All I know is that they seem to be rocking with the Unreal Engine when they made Mass Effect. I think it was the Dragon Age Inquisition. Does anybody know if it was made with Frostbite or was it made with Unreal?
I'm not sure.
Because that rocked. I mean, they did a great job with that title. I don't know what engine they used, but they had a long run where they were using Unreal, and then EA had this idea internally to push everything onto Frostbite, which was developed by DICE for their shooter games, which didn't quite work with all of their sports titles and everything. Like, there's been a lot of steep learning curves inside of EA, which I have heard about. Anyways, it's a big question. Clearly, EA now is learning a lot of lessons about the launch of Anthem, or through the launch of Anthem. Jamie Andrews asking, what can we expect on Friday for EPN? What game will you be playing? We actually have a day off on EP Live on Friday because there's an event in this space with the Vancouver Film School. That's going to happen every once in a while. We share the space with the school, and of course there are always classes that are graduating and other kinds of events that take place here. It's a really, really cool space. If you ever get to Vancouver, you should definitely come and check it out. But so we are dark on Friday, but on Monday we come back with a brand new EP Live. And I can tell you that we're about to announce a new time slot for the show. We're going to be moving to 4:30 every day, which is going to be great for the show because it's a little bit later in the day here in Vancouver, so people that are getting off work can come by. But importantly, the students at the school, and there's hundreds and hundreds of them, they all finish their classes at 4 o'clock, and we're providing access to some pretty incredible people as our guests, and we definitely want to have more people come and watch the show live, and the students, I think, will get a lot out of some of these conversations that we're having with fantastic creators. And on Monday's show, it's also another treat because our old friend Zoe Flower from the early days of Electric Playground is going to be on the show. She works for a company called Hellbent Games, which is based here in the Vancouver area. And she's coming with the founder of the studio, Chris Mayer. So we're going to have Zoe and Chris come in, tell us about Hellbent, and we'll get caught up. So make sure you have lots of questions for me and for Zoe about her career and what she's been up to. Can't wait for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's Monday at 4:30 Pacific time, which is 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Good question, though, Jamie. Thanks for asking. Jordan Cunningham asking, hey, Vic, did you see that the first Turok the Dinosaur Hunter is coming to the Switch, and maybe Turok 2 is next? I think the Switch is going to get everything. You know, like if Xbox is bringing everything to the Switch, I think the floodgates are about to open. And I don't think we're going to be waiting too much longer for Nintendo to say that they've got Super Nintendo titles on there. Would you be excited about that?
Oh, that would be nice.
Wouldn't that be awesome, right? Yeah. Suddenly that turns the Switch into the best game system ever made, right?
You know what would make it even better? Hey, Konami, you know those Rebirth tiles you had on WiiWare, Castlevania, the Adventure Reaper, Contra Reaper, Grace Reaper? How about you call up M2 and get a compilation going?
That's awesome. What system were they on?
Oh, they were on Wii, for WiiWare.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, it would have been nice for Nintendo to let us keep all those WiiWare titles, right?
Yeah.
Gone. Poof.
Yeah, of course.
I know, it's crazy.
I mean, to be fair, some of them are still available, like Strong Bass Cool Game for Attractive People, that's on PC, so it's not all bad.
That's awesome. You're saying a lot of things I've never heard of, which is great. All right. We've got a question from Farimer. Are you surprised with all the Marvel Netflix cancellations? And I heard that Disney Plus cannot make shows with those characters for a minimum of 2 years. Yeah, of course, I think it shocked the whole world out there because the shows were great, particularly Daredevil, and I love Luke Cage, and I liked Jessica Jones a lot, and The Punisher was awesome. They could have canceled Iron Fist, so I would have been fine with that. But yeah, no, it sucked that these shows have been canceled, and now the actors are starting to take gigs on other shows, which doesn't really bode well for the idea that they're going to come back with the existing kind of production teams that they've had. But I don't know. I think what they did do is they proved that these characters are popular enough to have these shows, and so if they have to remake them with new actors, they might have to do them. But I don't know. I don't think the hard edge that they had on these shows fits on this Disney Plus that they're going to be serving up. We're going to be learning a lot about Disney Plus in the next month, I think, with the Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. Jordan Cunningham, I would definitely pay extra for SNES games on Switch. Don't say that, Jordan. We want them to be free with our Nintendo subscriptions. We know we're going to have to pay more, but yeah, wouldn't it be rad for all the people that couldn't find the SNES Classic or the NES Classic to be able to get those games by just having the annual or the monthly subscription for Nintendo Online? You have access to all of those plus many more, and it already feels like the Nintendo Entertainment System assortment that's on the Switch feels almost like it's edging close to what was offered on the NES Classic, which was impossible to find back then. Blade Blur, the real reason why Vic is taking Friday off is because of Devil May Cry 5 and Captain Marvel. Actually going to be seeing Captain Marvel with my pal Johnny Millennium, who's here right now. He's here to pick me up. We're going on a movie date to go see Captain Marvel. Can't wait for that. And Devil May Cry 5, stand by for that. I know Johnny's been playing. He's going to ask me if I've been playing, and I'm going to say, no, I've been playing Anthem. All right. Rowan Stratus says, Vic, do you know if Young Justice Outsiders Season 3 is coming to Blu-ray and DVD? Yes? I don't know. Comment, that sucks that Punisher was really, really good. Yes, Punisher was really, really good. Taz has a question. Are you going to be watching the Tesla Model Y presser next Thursday? I don't know if I'll be watching the presser, but I'm definitely curious about it. And it's electric, so I think it fits in Electric Playground News, but that'll be up to Blake, I think. You can now only download WiiWare games on the Wii U on the eShop. That's Adrian Leon there talking. Okay, you guys. I think that's good for our Wednesday edition. Oh, got one more comment. This one's from Jordan Cunningham. You should take your daughter to Captain Marvel. I bet she would love it. I really, really cannot wait to start bringing her to more of these kinds of things, but we're letting her decide when she wants to do it. I've been trying to get her to go and see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and she's been like, I don't know, is it scary? And there are a couple of heavy scenes in that movie, so I don't want to freak my kid out. So she's going to tell us. She's watched all three of the Back to the Future movies. She freaking loved those, and we got Robert likes that.
Oh, Back to the Future Part 2 is my favorite. I mean, Back to the Future is my favorite film. I love all three films.
They're amazing, right? They never have to remake them.
Oh, I seriously hope they don't remake them. In fact, why didn't we get a sequel to Back to the Future the game? Why didn't we ever get that?
Did you like the Back to the Future game?
Oh, I loved it.
Wow, man, okay, we got a hardcore
the
Back to the Future fan.
Title, but
oh, the Telltale game. I thought you were talking about the NES games.
No, not those. No.
Have you played those? They're terrible.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Yes. Yeah, no, my daughter's seen those, and we've seen the first Harry Potter. We're reading the books, and we're going to watch the second Harry Potter this weekend. Trust me, I just want to inundate her with the Star Wars and the superheroes, but I'm kind of letting her tell me when she's ready. But super psyched about Captain Marvel, and can't wait to watch Wonder Woman with her. And then one day, Y the Last Man on television. One day, very far into the future. All right, you guys, that is going to do it for us. What do you think? Does it stack up to the originals?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, in many ways, it surpasses them.
Very nice. Thank you. Thanks for coming down today,
no
brother.
problem.
Thanks for being on the show. And thank you for watching. And remember, we're back on Monday with a brand new show, but at a new time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific and 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We are going to be back tomorrow with a brand new rundown for you, so please come back and watch that and get caught up on all of the fun stuff that we've made. Thanks for watching, everybody. Play forever.